Hey everybody, welcome to the Crazy House. This is Chris from Cardboard Crazies, and I am so glad that you're here today for this special interview that I have. Today I have a very special guest. He's a friend of mine, has been a friend of mine for a long time, and I am so happy to welcome Will Caligan to the Cardboard Crazies channel. Um, Will has done a lot of work that you're going to hear him talk about. I don't want to steal any of his thunder because he has done some great things. And I'm going to let him talk to you guys about that. We're going to put him on the hot seat and ask him a few questions about things he's done, his career, and we're just going to have a fun time. I told him this is a laid back format, and we've already discovered once that this is going to be really laid back because we tried to start doing this and realized it wasn't recording. So, Will, how are you doing today?
I'm blessed, brother. It's good to be here, man. I mean, I ain't seen you in a while, so it's good to see you. You're looking good, man.
It
And
has been a
congrats
while.
on losing the weight and,
Yeah,
and working out. And that's good stuff, brother. I mean, keep it up. You're doing a great job at that, man. Uh,
I appreciate
more,
it.
yeah, more people need to get out and do some working out since they've been stuck in the house for so long. I mean, including me. I'm I've told you before, I've gotten to that lazy mode where the couch is like a magnet, man. It pulls my butt right over there to it, and I don't even watch what's on TV. That's the sad thing. It's like I could care less what's on TV. It's not like I haven't seen it 1,000 times, but there I am, just sitting there glued like a monkey to it. Uh, yeah, yeah. So it's good to get. I'm glad you have me on here so I can get out of my. I guess it's a rut. I don't know. I don't know what you'd call it now. Is a year and 2 months being stuck in somewhere? Is that a rut? How do you? Because I don't know. I
Ugh,
don't know how to call that. I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to call that. So yeah.
it's got to be. It has got to be considered a rut because I don't know what else you could consider it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know what you would call it. Like I don't know. I don't think anybody's ever has anybody ever been stuck in their house for a year and 2 months as a group, as much as all of us have? Like
Ugh.
that's crazy.
So, we're gonna put you in the hot seat today. How does that sound?
Well, hopefully I won't get your channel shut down. I mean,
That's okay. I mean,
I
if
tend to bring controversy with me wherever I go, and I have yet to figure out exactly why, because I'm not really that much of a controversial guy. Like I don't know, but drama. I mean, drama seems to follow me wherever I go. So
well, you know
I've
what,
given you fair warning. I hope I don't shut your channel down, man.
you'll be good. I'm happy to have you here. And the one thing I've always liked about you, Will, is you are a very straight shooter, and you're not afraid to say what you think and how you feel, and I think that's something that we need a lot more of because feels like the more and more we get into stuff, the more and more people become shut down and withdrawn, and they don't really, they don't say what they're thinking enough.
Well, I guess. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, that's kind words, and a lot of times me being straightforward has gotten me into a lot of trouble. But I just, man, I don't have time to. We only live once. I don't believe in this. Sugarcoating everything. Or, I mean, I know God does tell us to soften our words, and I'm still working on it. I'm a work in progress, just like anybody else. I'm not perfect by any means, but uh, I don't know. I guess too is kind of how I was raised. I pretty much raised myself as a kid because my mom was never around. She was always so I've always kind of had this thing where I wasn't big on authority because I felt I was the authority, and it took a while for God to smack me in the head and figure out, hey, I'm not really, because me going into the military and being the way I was not a very good thing. Like telling sergeants and telling captains straightforward stuff is not really smiled at in the military. They get you in a lot of trouble. So I kind of had to unlearn a lot of stuff, uh, but I still believe, and I'm like you. I think in general, people need to be a little bit more straightforward with their feelings. It's all right, man. It's like don't, just because I feel one way does not mean you should, you have to react or have a feeling the other way. It's not like I demand you feel the way I do. That's not, and I think that's how people should be. I think you should always know what the other person's feeling. I mean, how else are you gonna, you know, treat them? If you don't know
Right.
how you feel about something, then how am I? I might treat you bad and not even know I'm treating you bad, because that's you need this and I'm giving you that. And I think we as a culture have really lost, dude, especially this last year with no kind of personal interaction with people. We've really kind of lost that element of conversation.
Right.
Everybody gets feelings hurt, or um, they get aggressive, or you know I don't know. It's like you can't have conversations anymore. It's all about attacking one person, or another person attacking you, and nothing ever gets solved that way. Nothing will ever change. And I'd like to see more people actually just having conversations and acting like adults, instead of acting like I did when I was 18 and 19 and thought I knew everything, and then reality hits you. Yeah, you don't know as much as you thought you knew. Uh, Maybe that comes with age. Maybe that's an age thing. Uh,
Yeah, because I can tell you when we met each other, we both had a lot less white hair.
oh, good Lord, yeah, man. Dude, I couldn't even grow a beard when we first met. Like, I don't know what happened. God must have just said, "Poof, you got to have a beard," because I mean, I'm not a. You can ask Kelly. She can tell you. Growing facial hair was something. Shoo, yeah. And I mean, gray hair, man, it's all over now. Like, I don't know what in the freak happened. Like, what happened to our young days, man? You know, I'm cranking up there on 50 come June, and God, 50 years? Like, where in the world? I mean, I've done a lot in my life. I've probably done a whole lot more than most people have done in my 50 years, but it's one of those things where it's like, man, 50 years sure did go by so fast. Like, I don't even know, and when you're a kid, you're always wanting to grow up. You're like, man, the time is slow and low, and low. But man, I'm gonna tell you, once I hit 35, it was a blink. Like, I don't know what happened to 35 to 50. I don't know what happened there. Like, it whew, man, it's crazy. I mean, I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but it's just like, I ain't trying to give any life lessons or anything here, but man, it just goes by so fast. Like, and I hate that we wasted a year of it stuck inside, and uh, away from family and away from friends, and I know some of it. I'd like to say some of it was needed, but I don't know. I really, it's so hard nowadays to find out what's real and what's fake and you just never know anymore. I can't figure it out. And it's above my pay grade, I guess, because you know, there's so much misinformation from both sides and so much, manipulation. Can't tell anymore who actually is telling you the truth, and who's really trying to help you out, and who's just spreading fear so you're easily controlled.
Yeah.
It's crazy now. I never thought I'd see a time the American people would be this way. Because I mean, that's all we preached when we were a kid was freedom, 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 freedom. And oh, it's just crazy, man. And like I said, this year's gone by fast. All of them go by fast now. I blink and it's done. I mean, you realize it's March, man. We're already in March.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened to January and February? I mean, I don't even know where they went to. If you asked me what I did, I'd be like, I, I don't know. Like, every day I get up, it goes by so fast. Like, I if I get one little thing completed, like I told you today, I'm blessed. I just got something done today. Like that's a feather in my cap for today, because usually time goes by so fast that you if you don't
Yeah.
manage it, and I'm horrible at managing because I'm a procrastinator at everything. If you tell me, well, you got 2 weeks to do this project, I'm gonna wait till the night before to do the project. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's how I am. I'll stay up the whole night and give it to you in the morning. And it's a bad way to be. I shouldn't be that way, but it's how I've always been my whole life. I don't know. Um, my wife gets on to me about it all the time. I mean, she's always like I had another interview that I had to get done where it's going in some kind of magazine or something like that. So I actually had to type it up and send it in. And it just took me like 3 or 4 days to do it, and there was just no reason for it. It was like 4 or 5 questions, and it ain't like I didn't know, these answers or anything like that. It was just she didn't really give me a deadline, and that's a bad thing. Anytime somebody asks me to do something but they don't give me a deadline, man, if you ever see it get done,
Congratulations.
yeah, congratulations. Cause it's just not in my mind frame to because if you don't feel like there's a necessity for it, it kind of messes with my head. Like, well, I got plenty of time to do it. It's not a big rush. It's not. Uh, so that's just so you know. If you ever need anything from me, make sure you at least give me a
Give
hey,
you a day.
yeah, and say, hey, I at least need it done in like the next 3 days, because if you don't give me that, it'll set. Dude, if you can see my desk, I mean, I got so much stuff over here on it that, uh, you know, I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I have the work, and I'm blessed that I have so much to do. But it's just one of those things where I'm lazy, man. Like I said, I mean, that's just what I am. I'm stuck to the point where if if you ask me what I want to do, I just want to spend time with my family, and that'd be, you know, whether or not I create any more comics or do any of that stuff. I don't know. I guess it's like I said. I think as the older you get, the more you realize, comics is what it is, and I don't want to downplay what I've done and what God's given me, because He's done a lot for me, and more than I deserve by far. Um, but it's just you realize where what really matters is my wife, my boys, my dad. Anything else beyond that is just kind of it's icing on the cake. Uh, I don't know. Like, I don't have a whole lot of close friends either. Like, I just, for whatever reason, my circle is very small now.
Right.
And I'm really thinking that's an age thing. I think that comes from, you just, you learn that popularity is not the prize that they make it out to be. Like, hey, I want 500 people to be, you know, my friends, but what is the Bible tells us that most people, you only have one or two close friends. Like, you need to be wary about the people you're pulling into your, because I think it's in Proverbs that talks about it. And, I think that's true. I think as the older you get, the your values and things. Because when I first started in comics, man, that was all I wanted. That was I had such a drive and and you had to have it back then to, if you're going to have any success in it, you had to have that kind of mentality of, that's what I want and that's what I'm going to go for, and that's everything else is kind of uh, blinded. You put your blinders on, and which is a bad thing if you had a family, which I did, um, because it takes so much out of you. Art. Most people think making comics and stuff like that is an easy task, and it's not, man. It's time consuming. It's very time consuming.
Right. So, Will, tell us, for those that are watching, tell us some of the things that you've worked on before. I know that's probably what people are wanting to hear, kind of what you've done.
I have done a lot in uh, my time in comics. Most of the stuff I've done um, has been independent stuff to begin with. Like I started out doing my own stuff with a company called Samson Comics, which was back in '97, and it was a company that was down in Florida, but they had ties to Image. Then I did some stuff with another company called Blind Wolf, which was another one of my creator-owned books I did with them. But I also inked some of their books, or one of their books, and I did a pinup for one of them called Weirdsville, um, and then I did some Marvel Masterpiece cards for Marvel and Upper Deck. I had 150 cards out of Series 2, and I'm not really sure how many cards is actually in the whole deck, but 150, I did quite a bit for that run. Um, I wish my art skills would have been a lot better back then when I got the jobs, and then because I had to actually look at some of the older cards I did because of an interview I was doing, and man, that art, it makes me cringe. It's just like, oh man, what was I like? Oh, like you look at your old stuff and you're just like, man, what was I thinking? Like I was on crack or something when I did it. But um, then I did an anthology book called Cereal and Pajamas with a company called Ape Entertainment. And what it was at the time I was kind of a well-known guy on DeviantArt.com. Like I was one of the better known comic book artists at the time. Don't ask me how. I don't know how that happened, but it's just one of those things God put his hand on. And I talked to a bunch of my friends, and I was like, man, we ought to do a book together. So we ended up doing an anthology book where basically all the artists we basically, you got to do whatever story you wanted to do. And most of these artists have gone off to do like Marvel, DC. I mean, they weren't big at the time, but I knew they were going to be big guys. And so yeah, that was a blessing book. It came out, and then after that, I did some Pogs. I don't know if you remember those things.
Oh, I remember those very well.
I did a bunch of Pog art, which was kind of crazy. I don't even know how that fell in my lap, but that was another thing that God kind of pushed on me that I didn't ask for. And then I did some Upper Deck toy designs. That kind of came from the me doing the Marvel cards, and well, I guess it actually didn't, because I got the job because I was on a website called Pencil Jack Forum. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not, but it's got a lot of artists there, and I'd put up some stuff, and this guy, the guy running Upper Deck Toy Designs, thought my work looked like Kari Randolph's, and I never saw it. Even to this day, I mean, Kari is a whole lot better artist than I ever wanted to be, but he felt like my work was a lot like Kari's, so he gave me a job because Kari had left and done something else, and that basically got me working on that. And then I formed a new studio. I formed Alpha Dog Studios with a group of guys, and we produced a couple books. kind of anthology stuff and kind of one that was just an art book. And then we did some image stuff for a book called Lorna, the Relic Hunter, I think was the name of it. It was kind of like an Indiana Jones thing, but it was a female, where I did some coloring on it, or on the pinup we had done for the book. And it was crazy because we had to do that whole thing in a day. I mean, we literally penciled, inked, and colored it in 24 hours. I mean, it was nuts. Like, we had some serious turnaround on that night. Like, I was seeing dots while I was coloring it because I'd been at the computer for so long. It was just like, man, dude. But we got it done, and it actually came out really good, really nice. Like I said, I procrastinate, so working like that works for me. You know, it's kind of like that was kind of the best thing that probably happened to me. And then I started working for a company called Short Fuse Media. They were doing my Gun Ghoul and my Tech Lore book, and it was selling pretty good. But then, you know, I had some, let's just say, controversy with the LGBT community. If you look me up and type in LGBT, you'll get a bunch of stuff on what happened. And I it was the whole cancel culture thing, and this was happening way before cancel culture was like a big thing. So I was kind of one of the first comic book artists that kind of, they wanted to run out on the rails. And of course, my publisher turned on me and dropped me. So then I got picked up by a European comic book company, which I think it's like Dark Legion Comics, but they're like Pembroke Publishing. It's a pretty big company. It's not a small. I mean, they deal more with like Barnes and Nobles and the bigger bookstores and that kind of thing. So they picked up Gun Ghoul and they put it on Amazon, and it did really well. It was like #1 for a month. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4 all took the top 4 spots for a month, and it would have stayed up there longer. But again, I had some more controversy where Amazon employees found out who I was and found out about all the LGBT nonsense that was going on. So they took my book off of Amazon for 2 or 3 days, and in doing so, they pretty much stopped the traffic that was buying the book. And at the time, it was outselling books like Lock and Key and Vampirella and Lady Death, and some Marvel titles too. It was kind of crazy. I was really like, I mean, God did it. I didn't have nothing to do with it because, the book was, by that time, it was like 5 years old. It wasn't something new I'd just done. It had been something I'd done a while back, and it just sold really, really well, and it did really well. And then I got into this Comicsgate stuff, which I didn't really want to be a part of. It wasn't like something I set out to do. It was one of those things that the cancel culture thing kind of made me one of the first artists that was really involved with Comicsgate. And there was a power struggle within the Comicsgate community, and I just didn't want to be a part of any of the. To me, look, man, if you're gonna brand me as a Christian, I'm not. I don't really like labels other than that. That's the only thing I really, not that I don't love the movement, because the people there have treated me really great, and they've always supported me, and they were there when other people were turning against me. So I will never, disavow Comicsgate. So that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is it just turned into something that I think the movement now has really turned into something it was never meant to be. And this has a lot to do with the people that are in power of the movement at this particular point in time. And I don't really want to get into names of that. If you look up Comicsgate, you'll find it's not hard to figure out, who's who and what's going on, and it's just a lot of drama that just doesn't need to be. For me, I feel like comic book creators should just focus on creating comics and doing a good job at it, because the industry is in a mess right now, and what we don't need is people fighting each other and people struggling for more power or control over this or control over that. Because I'm an independent guy, you're never going to be in control of me. It don't matter what you do. I still got the internet and I can still do whatever I want to do. So again, the the idea of having power over something is kind of a false. It's a false narrative. Nobody really has control anymore. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to bring up EBS. I tried hard to stay away from that. Yeah. It's one of those things where I just wish we all could get along and we could all just make good comics. And because DC and Marvel have gotten so far, I mean, they're so far gone. I mean, it's just not even funny anymore. Like what do you say about them?
Right.
And so now my book Gungle is actually being translated and it's going to be sold in Brazil. And this is something that just happened like 3 or 4 months ago. Somebody actually sent me a link and was like, "Hey man, no Gungle's."
I'm not sure if we're having connection issues or what. It's frozen on me. Will, are you still with us? It's another case of you gotta love technology, because I'm not able to hear him and I'm not sure if he got disconnected. But yeah, I think he got disconnected. So anyways, we will try to get a part 2 of this scheduled, and I do apologize for everybody watching. Please make sure that you check out Will's work. You can find them all over the internet. You can find out about his work. I would absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, recommend that you look up Gungle. If you can find it, get it. It is an amazing read. It's some good, fresh artwork, not like the artwork we're used to seeing. And well, I guess I will talk a little bit now. We thank you, Las Cruces, for joining us. He says, "Uh-oh." Then we've got Legion of Comics, hashtag we are Legion. To be honest with you, I'm doing absolutely great. Today was our first day back with kids in the classroom, full time, full swing, at capacity, and I'm wore slap out, but I am doing well, all things considering. As far as what's new, oh, I think he's back. As far as what's new, I will be talking a little bit more about my 300 subscriber giveaway in just a few minutes.
Yeah, it never fails, man. I swear I hate Spectrum. You just don't know how much I hate this company, man. I despise them. As much money as we pay a month, and they cannot keep the internet working out here. It's horrible, man. It's horrible. I have never in my life. But anyways, I don't even remember what yeah, I mean, in general, I just would like to see people just doing their thing, man, and don't hate on each other for doing it. Just support if it's a good product. Now, if it's a bad product, be honest with the people and tell them, hey. And I know it's a hard thing for creators to hear sometimes. It's like, hey, your product is not really, you need to step your game up a little bit. But I mean, that's part of being professional, and you can do it in a professional way. You don't have to stomp their dreams, to tell them that they need to work on something. It's all right. I mean, it took me years to learn what I'm doing. It wasn't like it just one day I woke up and I could do what I'm doing. That's not how it worked. I had to spend time and effort in doing it. So I don't know. I just, comics mean so much to me, and the industry in general means so much to me. I hate to see what it's going through right now, and I hate to see so many people attacking each other, and a lot of it is so people can get attention. It's they want the drama because it sells. And for me, I've always just been a person of, I want the book to sell. Okay, I don't care about anything else. I don't, whether you watch me on YouTube and see, I don't even have a YouTube channel because I never got into comics to do YouTube. See, that's the other thing. It's like so many creators tell me all the time, they're like, man, I can't believe you don't have a YouTube. You don't have a YouTube. Why aren't you out there? Why aren't you? And it's just like, man, that's not, I didn't get into comics to be on TV or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That was never my goal. And I know things have changed. Fans want to be able to interact with you and see who you are and know you more. And there's so much more access to people now. But I'm kind of a closed off person. I mean, I know I've talked a lot since you asked me the question, but you know me. You're probably the second YouTube person I've talked to in 5 years, maybe. And that's just because, and it's not because I haven't been asked. It's just the fact of, I don't know. I'm really weary about getting online and talking, and it's just not me. I don't know. Maybe I should change. I don't know, brother. Like I said, comics, when you create a comic, that was kind of one of those deals where you could kind of get the fame, without having to be seen and heard, and now it's turned into something like people want to be superstars and want to be, and that ain't, man, I don't care. What I care about is if you read my book and you like it and it brings you some joy and some peace, you get a little bit of escapism from this crazy world we live in. I mean, that's it. And that's the extent of it. I mean, I'm nothing more than a tool of bringing imagination to other people.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, I think that talking to indie artists, and I would say, and we talked earlier that you would consider yourself an indie artist. I think it's a good thing to let indie artists have an open forum, because we're seeing actually right now, and it's a conversation that I've been having with some guys. We're seeing a boom in indie books, and I think that a lot of people see indie books as a breath of fresh air. They're not constricted so much by the politics of being one of the big two in Marvel and DC, and I think that's a really cool thing. And comic book companies and publishers that you've never heard of before, or very seldomly heard of, are popping up, and they're getting a lot of the attention that they deserve, not only for their stories but for the art that's in it. And one thing that I always hone in on when I buy a book, if the art doesn't catch my eye, it's going to stay on the shelf. I mean, I actually have a good question from one of the people watching. He says, does your faith have any effect or inspiration in your art?
I mean, I get to some extent it has to, because I mean I'm creating something, so I mean I'm as close to the creator as I can be. Uh, I don't see, that's a tough question, because I don't want people to think, well, man, I'm sitting around drawing holy figures, or because that's not what I do. That's not my thing. Uh, I think I think we live in a time where you if you're going to share the gospel and you're going to inspire other people, you have to find ways other than beating them over the head with it, because they already have guards up. So yeah, and my faith, man, it's the only thing that keeps me going as far as drawing in comics. Because if you don't have, dude, if I didn't have God, I tell people all the time, the only reason I have a career is because of God. It ain't got nothing to do with me. It's not like I'm some kind of amazing artist, or some kind of like the greatest writer since Stan Lee, or anything like that. It has more to do with things that just God has opened doors for me that I couldn't have had on my own. It's one of those things where, you know, I can't even give you advice on how to get where I've done stuff, because it's crazy the stuff that's happened to me as far as me getting work. I've never sent in uh, samples to any company ever in my career. They've always come to me. Like every place I ever worked has come to me. Um, I mean, even doing when I did a children's book for San Diego Natural Science Center, it came to me. I didn't send in samples or anything like that. So I can only give it to God. Like I can only say God's openly, and what's kept me going through this stuff is my faith. And it does inspire. Like most of my stories do, have godly influences to it, and one of the first books I did, my Outlaw Angel stuff, was very driven by my faith. Like it has a lot to do with my my views on things, and because and that don't mean I'm preaching or anything like that, because that's not what I'm saying by that. It just has, it's more my interpretation of faith, and my interpretation of what inspires and what doesn't. And I would say I couldn't have gotten where I am without my faith. Yeah, so um, yeah, I mean, I know, again, that sounds kind of crazy. People are going to be like, man, he must be a Jesus freak or something like that. But truly, I mean, that the only way I can say the work I've gotten is from God opening doors that I never even attempted to even try to get. So yeah, my faith plays a pretty big role in my career and my direction. So I don't know if that answers the question. I hope it does. I know I rambled some, so you got to stick with me on that. I'm a rambler.
No, not you.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a rambler. So
Well, I think it was a great answer. You know, to I think every artist draws inspiration from something. Um, you know, whatever whatever is important to them, they draw that inspiration from. And I think that's a great thing to draw your art from. And I think you gave a great answer. Now I've got a question for you, and I know you've probably been asked this a million times, and I think we've even discussed it maybe a couple of times. If you had to give me a top five list of your favorite characters in comics, who would your top five be?
man, my top five. The first one's Nightcrawler. I mean, I have a mainly because one, he was one of the first Christian characters I ever saw in comics that actually, you know, read the Bible, and I always loved his design, and he looked like a demon, but he was following God instead of Satan. It's a contradictory there. So I love Nightcrawler. I would say Superman is probably my second, just because you know he's the symbol of hope. And I think, man, everybody needs hope. And I know so many writers have problems writing him for whatever. I don't really know why. Uh, it's kind of like DC's always had this kind of funny, they don't know really what to do with him. But for me, I feel like he's the kind of character that really should set up the standard that we should follow, and be an example for people. Um, Man, see, that's sad. That's the first two that come to my mind, and you want five. Let me think, man.
Well, maybe this one's easier. I had somebody ask you that's watching, what are your top 5 covers?
Whew. Okay, these are going to be some crazy ones. I know people are going to be like, "What?" But I'm a huge Joe Mad fan, so most everything I love is Joe Mad, and anybody that's kind of in the same realm of Joe Mad. But he did some covers for Gen 13. He did one where it had like Giant Robo in it. That's in my top one. I mean, it's freaking awesome if you haven't seen it. Then he also did one for Danger Girl that you can very seldom find, and man, it is awesome. Jason Pearson did one for Gen 13, and this must be a theme with Gen 13. I don't know, but he did one with Gen 13 that was a remake of a Rolling Stone magazine that had uh, Janet Jackson on the cover of it, and somebody was coming up around her. All you saw was the hands. But he did this with the Gen 13. I actually have a poster of it, and it was somewhere. It's gone now, but I loved. Man, I can't remember the number of the X-Men comic, but there's one where it was a Silvestri cover where he had Wolverine, and they were fighting the Brood at the time, and the Brood is coming out of his mouth, and man, it was awesome. I mean, I always wanted a poster of it, but I don't know if they ever even did a poster of that. And then my 5th favorite cover. I've got so much stuff going on in my head because I loved all the Crimson stuff that Humberto Ramos did. Like he knocked it out of the box when he did his creator-owned stuff. This is one when Jim Lee. This is my 5th one. Jim Lee did a cover for Savage Dragon, where Savage Dragon is like in the sewers and he's got his pistol like that. And man, it's one of the best covers I've ever seen. So that's my top 5. And it's funny, all of them are Image. Like I didn't really, except that one, which was a Marvel one, but that just shows you I was bigger in the comics in the 90s, and so Image was obviously the go-to back then. Yeah, that's a great question because I really hadn't thought about that. And unless you want to count my covers, that's for my book, and all of those are my favorite. So yeah.
Well, when you got knocked off, I was plugging Gungle for you. I was saying,
well, I appreciate it.
Y'all need to go look it up because it's again, it's a fresh style of art, and I think personally, from what I've read of it, it's got a great storyline, and that hits on something that you were talking about earlier with writing books and doing books that people are going to enjoy, and I think that it's something that people could pick up and really get into it. They just want more.
Well, I can honestly say that I haven't gotten a bad review on Amazon, and that's crazy. All 4 books are like 5-star, which I don't know what to say. Like again, that's a blessing. I'm glad that so many people enjoy it, and so many people are they like the character, and because the funny thing is, I never really, I never really set out to create this character. This was a character that, man, I did a 5 minute warm up sketch where I drew the character. I mean, I literally just sat down and I posted it up on DeviantArt, and I was just goofing around like, yeah, this is my warm up, and dude, it blew up, and people were just all kinds of like, man, who is this character? Like, why, when are you gonna do something with it? What? And I was just like, dude, I don't even. I literally, when I was doing the books, had no idea what I was writing. I was like, I don't have a story. I don't even know the character. I don't know who it is. So the character kind of grew itself through the books. I didn't do it the normal way I handle doing miniseries. It was kind of one of those things where it was just, again, God, I can't, because I didn't follow a formula with it. I didn't follow, the rules of writing when it comes to writing it. It had to grow itself because I really had no clue as to who the character was or what it was going to do, and so it took its own life. It grew itself, to be honest, and it's really weird because I being a creator, all this other stuff I've done, I've never had that kind of experience where something took off on its own and did its own thing, and you're just kind of there for the ride. You're just kind of like, ooh, okay, I'll take credit for it, but I didn't really do nothing but follow where it was going. So so I don't know. It like I said, it's kind of a weird. I'm not an example to follow, I guess. I don't know, because like I said, every writer, I know every writer that's hearing me talk about this is just grinding their teeth, like, man, what are you talking about? I mean, you didn't have none of this planned out. You didn't write no plot lines. You didn't do nothing. No, I didn't. I didn't follow. I didn't follow any of the rules. Sorry, guys. I didn't. Yeah, yeah.
So what I'm hearing is, wait till the last minute, go off the cuff, and ride the wave.
Hey, if it works, it works, brother. Like I said, and I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody, but like I said, I've been blessed that this is work. I don't know where, other than God, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where the fascination with it, because like I said, it's really unusual for me, because my other creations never have taken a life of their own. They've never really, it's always been me molding it into what I want instead of letting it mold me into what it wants. And maybe I should learn from that.
Right. Well, I mean, I totally agree, and to a certain extent, I can see, in me doing what I do, I can see that a lot of artists do their best work when they're under a crunch, and I think it's really, really cool how sometimes those best ideas are not the most thought out ideas. They're the ones you just kind of, like you said with Gungle, you roll with what you're hearing, and I love that. I love that he was a concept, and he just became this. I mean, honestly, I believe if more people knew about him, I think he could be something super big.
It was big in Europe. See, here's the thing: it's like my publisher. He's a big publisher in Europe. Like he handles a lot of. And the actual comic was in comic book shops in Europe. It's just here in America, it's just so, like, he's an actual publisher. He doesn't just publish comics. He publishes books. So So you can tell Nick he can find my stuff at Amazon or Barnes and Nobles. I mean, I'm basically, they basically put me in everything, I think, other than Walmart. I mean, but, and that's part of it too, is I'm not even aware of how big it was, like in Europe, like, because I don't live there. I take it for granted. You know, a lot of times I'll get European people talking to me about, hey man, you know, we read this, we love that, and it kind of blows my mind that my book was over there doing so well. And that's why I did so well on Amazon, was because of what was happening in Europe, you know. And it's publishing is crazy, dude. I mean, it's just the way it's set up and the way it's handled. And see, that's the bad thing for independent guys, you know. The book might not have the following in like comic book circles, like in comic shops, or if you ask somebody. Of course, I don't know. See, dude, I don't know. It's like, it's crazy because I don't know exactly where the influence starts and where it stops. Because I get all of it, you know. I get, you know, people always. But I do know the book wasn't sold actually in comic book shops because of Diamond. You know, Diamond is they're one of the biggest problems in comics. You know, their distribution system and the way they handle things are just, it's not good for the industry. And I think most comic book people, especially independent guys, you need an outlet that's going to be able to, and I think I've talked about this on Facebook. You know, my biggest problem right now is finding distribution. You know, you want to find something where you can get it in the hands of people, because I hear a lot of times people going, do Kickstarter, do Indiegogo, but the problem with those things is you're only reaching about 100 people on average. That's what you're selling. Now, granted, you're going to make a lot more money probably doing it on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, but you're just not reaching the fans. It's not. And for me, I would rather have a larger audience than have more money, you know. Well, I think sooner or later, you know, the money's going to catch up to you. But if you're only trying to get money from 100 people every time you sell, you know, odds are sooner or later those 100 people aren't going to have the money to keep buying. You know, you're going to keep losing people. So I don't know. I think it's like you said, you know, it's blowing up to some extent, but I think in other situations, we're in a weird fluctuation. Like I think people are still trying to find their way with the Kickstarter and IGG stuff. And I don't really know how comic book shop owners are going to deal with this new way of doing business. And I don't know. It's really, you know, I told you, I sat back, you know, I stopped doing stuff since the COVID stuff happened, just because I wanted to kind of take in what was going on and see what was actually going to happen with comic book shops and distribution. And it still hasn't worked itself out. Like it's going to be hard on comic book shop owners. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's going to be, you know, they're going to have to bend some, and they're going to have to get out of their set ways.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about comic book shop owners, that's a very hard thing to ask for, because comic book shop owners do not like getting out of their set ways. They are very anything that makes their life more difficult, they don't, you know. and I can't blame them to some degree, but you know, some things you got to kind of do because it's what's good for the industry and not just good for you, you know. Because if we don't have an industry, none of us are going to have a job. It's not going to matter if the industry's not there to support, then we're all kind of screwed, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I'd love to hear from some of the comic book shop owners you got, what their ideas are on how to handle the whole distribution problem and the whole, for indie guys. Because I mean, Marvel and DC. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think. I mean, DC's already canceling so much stuff, and Marvel is just not putting out quality books anymore. I mean, they might have 4 or 5 that are really quality, but then they got 200 books that I don't know why they're putting out. I don't know who they're selling it to. I don't know who all they're doing is flooding the market, and I don't really understand why they're doing it now at this particular point in time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
So, guys, if you're watching, Will answered Nick's question. He said that you can pick Gun Go up on Amazon, correct?
It's on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. It's on most, like, what is it, Goodreads? I think that's another pretty big website. I mean, you can either type my name in or type in Gun and it'll pop up. And I think you can get cereal and pajamas still on Amazon.
Another good read.
That's a good book, man. People don't know, man. We were such a gang back then. I mean, me and those guys that were in that book, we were basically the deviant art comic book guys back then. Like, we were the guys to follow. And now, of course, all of them have went off and done all kinds of great things, but this was the first book they did. So I can honestly say I pulled their butts into the fire of the comic book industry and made their lives miserable having to meet deadline after deadline. So, and I think that book too was one we tried to just really have fun with. It was about,
and you can tell it,
having, telling stories that were like good Saturday morning cartoons back in the day, like Flash Gordon or whatever, like the Super Friends or something like. We wanted to bring that back to people because, and even today, I think that has kind of been lost in the industry. I don't think people, people don't make books just to have fun anymore. It's not about giving somebody a good time. It's about, and to me, if you're gonna spend $5 on something like this, I better at least have fun with it. I better not be mad when I get done reading it. Like, man, what the freak, or hating somebody, or I just feel like it should bring some kind of enjoyment to you.
My dog just walked in the room.
Hey, those are the best, man.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. If you're gonna pay, then you want something that's gonna at least halfway entertain you. And I think I was reading the other day that they're raising the price of some of the DC books, like Batman. I think $6 a book. And
well, the thing going on with DC now is they're canceling a lot of books, and they're making like the Batman books and stuff like that, kind of like an anthology, where you get one main story, which is 22 pages, and then you get like 2 or 3 little small stories that are like 5 pages a piece. And I think they're going to start charging like $6.99 per book. But the problem with that is, artists, they ain't gonna have no jobs anymore. You're basically firing 200-300 artists. So there's going to be a lot of comic book artists looking to find work that's just not even there anymore. I don't know what Marvel's doing. Like, I can't figure Marvel out. I don't know what I don't know who they're trying to reach. I don't understand their Uh, yeah, I mean the Batman thing. Well, they're never gonna stop doing Batman. I mean, you ain't got nothing to worry about that. That's their money maker. They ain't never, you know, we'll be in the apocalypse and they'll still be putting out Batman books. You'll be like, man, I can't get food, but Batman's still being printed. So Batman ain't going nowhere. But there is a lot of they've cut out a lot of DC. I mean, they just fired a lot of people, and that's when AT&T took over, and they just didn't. Because here's the deal: for most of these big companies, they look at comic book companies as failures because it doesn't bring in huge amounts of profit. Like it used to. Back in the '90s, you could sell 1 million copies of a comic book. Nowadays, if you sell 100,000 copies, that's an amazing sale. That's like you're in the top 5% of the industry. So sales have really come down really, a lot, and so they're not making any money. So when when AT&T sees the movies making $1 billion, $2 billion a year, and they see comics only making 50 grand off of one book, what do they want to make? What do they want to put money into? But what they don't realize is without the comics, you wouldn't have had people who spent $1 billion to go see those movies. So they don't look at it as this is also kind of an advertisement marketing thing. If you're going to put $1 million into marketing, then just do it in comics. It's cheaper to do it that way, and you're still going to build a fan base, and you're going to have a fan base there. But they don't think like a business. They think, I don't know how they. Like I said, that the industry is in such a flux. People don't think of it as a business, and it is a business. Like don't get it twisted. The digital thing has been shoved down people's throats for God knows years. Everybody has said that digital is the way it's going to go, but I'm gonna tell you, I don't believe it. I mean, I don't think digitals will ever outsell physicals. Basically, because people want something they can hold in their hand, and they want the experience of going to a comic book shop. See, that's where most comic book people, it's all about the experience. It's not just I have a comic book. It's I went to the comic book shop today, and I spoke to these guys for 2 hours on Batman and who could kill Superman, or and this is all an experience that
hashtag anybody.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the experience, and that's what sells comics is the experience. It's not just I have a hard physical copy, and digitals will never change that, because you can buy digital at home, just download it, and you don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have anything, you just buy it and read it. So you're losing the experience of going to a comic book shop. And I just don't think that's ever gonna. I don't want to say it's never gonna stop. No one can see. That's what I'm talking about, Legion. Nobody. I tell them that all the time. Don't nobody listen to me on that. But
I disagree. I don't like Superman.
But I just don't. I hope that answers your question about the digital. I know for me, I always want a physical copy. I get so many digital copies sent to me. I don't even read them in digital. How sad is that? I mean, I guess I should, but looking at the screen and reading comics just doesn't feel right to me. And if you saw my floor right now, you'd go, yeah, you need to start getting digital, because you got comic books all stuck all over your floor. I mean, yeah, I try to give them away to Chris all the time. He won't take them.
We had only Batman can, and Doomsday.
That's a myth. That's a fake.
And Darkseid.
That's a fake. We all know Doomsday didn't really kill him. He came back. It was just he hibernated. He needed to sleep.
Yeah,
He had a rough day. We all need naps after rough days.
He's like the Goku of the DC world. He gets beat, dies, comes back, gets beat again, dies, comes back.
Well, I don't really. To me, and this is just me, if I kill somebody in my series, they're dead. They're not coming back. Like, I have some pretty big characters in my Grimm book that die, and trust me, they ain't coming back. Like, I believe, and I think that's part of the problem with American comics is you're so worried about making $1 off of whatever character you get. You hurt the story. Exactly. He's right. And he's right about that. That's the thing, is people want the whole. It's not. I'm telling you, it's the experience. It's about smelling the pages. It's about holding it. It's about being with the guys when you get it. And I just don't think that'll ever. I don't think you'll ever take that away. There's just too many. Of course, I don't know, man. Kids growing up now, they don't care about comics. Like, I got my 2 boys, they ain't never read a comic book. They don't care. I mean, I work in comics, they don't care. It's like they whatever. They love roadblocks. That's all I hear. Roadblocks. So I don't know what that means for our future with the kids. And I think manga, because I don't want to sound like I'm pushing manga, but for whatever reason, the younger kids love manga. I don't know what. I mean, I can look at the stories and tell what the difference is, and probably what compels people to pick up manga. But I don't know why they like it more than American comics, other than the fact that really in manga you don't see a lot of political stuff. You don't see, even though they have LGBT characters, they don't play them as anybody different. You understand what I'm saying? They're just people. And with American comics, we tend to, if you've got an agenda and you're pushing something, then you don't make that character a normal person. It's just like they're either above the other characters or they're below. It's just depending on what agenda you're pushing, instead of having them equal to everybody else. And I think that's the biggest problem with what's going on with DC and Marvel, is they've lost the idea that when you write stories that are equal player levels. You don't if you really want to push LGBT and that kind of thing, then instead of making it to where they're different, then show how they fit into society and how they, how they're normal human beings instead of victims or heroes. I don't know how to explain it. It's just the way I see it with manga. It's just totally different the way they handle character development and how they handle, because you talk about Superman, but man, they've got One Punch Man, which is basically a satirical character of Superman. That's what it's supposed to be. And I mean, he tells plenty of stories with this character, and they're great stories. And it's just like, it's all about how you perceive the character and how you want to, if you're a good writer and you understand what the character is. And I think DC and Marvel have really lost their way when it comes to their characters. I could be wrong. I mean, it's been a long time since I've even read a Marvel or DC book, so I couldn't tell you the last time I picked up a Marvel or DC book. I have no, because right now all I'm buying is independent stuff off of Kickstarter or IGG, basically because I want to support, the indie crowd, and I always look at it as, these guys are trying to fulfill their dreams. So whatever little bit I can do to help, I do. So I don't want to. I know I'm kind of coming down on DC and Marvel, but I'm not a hater of these two companies. I just wish, because they're the head of it, they're the head of the industry. I wish they would um, focus on making the industry better instead of worrying about making Disney another dollar. I mean that. But I mean, again, it goes back to, it is a business, and Disney's in it to make money. But if you destroy the industry, ain't nobody gonna make a dollar off of it. What's the point of buying all these Marvel characters if you can't produce the books anymore because you've destroyed the industry that made them popular in the first place?
Right.
It just doesn't work that way.
Well, Will, I think you have given us some great answers to some really good questions. And I think you've been on the hot seat now. I think my counter's saying about an hour and 12 minutes. So I think you've done an excellent job. You've had some really
But I
good
ain't said
insight.
enough to like get you fired yet. See, I ain't said enough to like get you run off of whatever platform you're on. See, that's no.
But I do appreciate you joining us tonight, and I know that the guys that are watching, they appreciate it too. You spending this time.
Well, I appreciate all you guys, man. I couldn't be where I am if I didn't have folks like you. So I don't look, man. You guys made me. I didn't. I really, truly, I'm blessed to have you guys, and you guys giving me a platform to speak and a platform to sell. Be my snake oil salesman up here and sell the books. And I just, for me, I hope everybody enjoys them and appreciate it. I don't want anybody to ever think I don't appreciate what they do for me. And I know I don't do a lot of these interviews, like I said, but it's not because I don't appreciate the fans and you guys. It's just, I'm not big on TV. I mean, look at my mug. It's not a great mug to look at. So I tend to keep that thing hidden. So, but man, I appreciate you. And I love you, brother. You're my brother in Christ, and
Absolutely.
Anything I can ever do for you guys, you just let me know. And comic book shops out there too. If there's anything I can ever do for you guys that are out there, and y'all need somebody to help or do something, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Drop me a line. I'll do whatever I can do, because we're in this together. We're in it together. I don't want comic book shop owners and guys not to understand that we're, I can't win unless they win. So I'm willing to do whatever I can do to help them. So I guess that's my last little.
So I'm going to plug you one more time. Guys, if you're watching, go to Amazon, Easy Reads, Barnes & Nobles, pick up Gungle. I know that Will would appreciate that very much. It's an amazing read. Trust me. It is a good, fresh take, a good artistic style. I can't say enough good about it. Not just because he's sitting in front of me. If I just picked it up off the shelf, I would have loved it. And just show some support. I know he'd appreciate that, and we appreciate everybody that's been here tonight. Austin LeMay, Freaky Louie, Remy Q, Legion of Comics, Burke 54 Comics, Las Cruces 1971, Nick's Kicks and Comics. I mean, they've been Adrian, Panda Awesome. They've all been here asking questions and listening, and I know that they enjoyed it. So thank you so much, Will, for being with us. And
my pleasure, brother.
Don't forget to tune in Wednesday night to Remy Q Studios channel, where we'll be doing episode number 4 of Let's Talk About It, where we'll be talking about New Comic Book Day. We'll be doing shout outs for the community, just having a fun time. DJ Links is going to be our special guest for that night. And then on Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be doing my live 300 subscriber giveaway with some special guests, including my wife. She's going to be joining the stream with me. So we got a full week ahead of us, and we're gonna truck through it, and then hopefully win you guys some prizes on Saturday. Will, again, thank you so much. Thank you all that have been here and asking questions and watching. I'll end this just like I end every other video that I do. Be a blessing to somebody today, but most importantly, I hope that you are blessed. We'll see you next time.